So I was scrolling over YouTube today and I saw this woman talk about this multi-million-dollar travel agency that she started. Not only that, but through that agency, she was able to take some of that money and then use it for other business ventures. And all I could think about was, that could have been me. So take you back a couple of years, back in 2018, I was teaching at a high school here in the Bay Area, and it was a study about high school. So 6 months here in California, 6 months in Thailand, which was an amazing experience. I can talk all about that at another time. If you have questions or there any interest, let me know. But I remember I had taught a couple years in New Orleans, then I moved back home, back to Oakland, and I was in this school, this like wonderful opportunity. At the same time, I was applying to grad school. So it was a little kept secret. I had applied to one school. And that's a whole nother story in itself. I felt called to that one school. It was a PhD program, and I believe it was in educational psychology or something about the intersection of psychology and education. And so I was devastated because I found out while I was there that I did not get in. And that was my plan. Like, that was what I was going to do. Family and friends were encouraging me, make sure you go to grad school, don't wait too long. And so this was the next step. And when that didn't happen, I didn't quite know what to do. I was teaching and I love teaching. The experience at a study about high school was very unique and it was hard. We had and were around our students 24/7. Okay, 24/8, like Mary says, baby. We was around them all the time. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Our rooms were near there. So it was just constantly the exhaustion of having to be on as an educator. There's no, driving to work or driving home on weekends, having your own space. Like, no, the kids is still there. Yeah, they're still there. So that was very challenging. I knew I did not want to continue another year with that position, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't even know what was possible for me. When it comes to imagining something, dreaming about something, that is not a comfortable place for me. I feel like at times my imagination is like outlined by what I've seen others do. And so I think about it as a chart or a data, right? All this data plotted on this chart, and each thing that I've seen, each new opportunity that I have seen someone else be successful with, I plotted on that chart, and it begins to continue to expand what's available to me. But of course, that's incredibly limiting because you're only thinking about what someone else has been successful with. And so I didn't allow myself or even know how to, what is God's dream for me? Lord, what is your dream for me? What could this look like? What could this mean? And so I didn't. I remember a colleague of mine saying like, hey, I think at this time I had studied abroad. I had multiple times. I had traveled abroad, many different countries. I love traveling still to this day, okay? And so she encouraged me like, why don't you go and like start your own TV show? Do it on YouTube, go around to different countries and bring people along. And I thought it was preposterous. I remember thinking like, girl, who do you think I am? Me? No. I don't think that's possible. I didn't say those words, but I remember just thinking like I was on a teacher's salary. I had little saved up. This was, almost, 8 years ago. Wow. So it felt so big. It felt completely out of my bounds of reality. It did not feel like something Taylin could do. I didn't know anyone who was doing it. I didn't even know how people made money traveling. I didn't know that there were sponsorships I think I felt scared. I felt scared to be in front of the camera. I felt scared of people's opinions of me. And I felt the weight of wanting to be the success story in my family, wanting to be the one who beat the odds, who worked really hard and made something out of herself. And not that I have brilliant folks in my family who are doing amazing things, and I wanted to continue that. And doing this, it didn't feel like I didn't know, what am I proud of? Like, what does this look like? What does this mean? And for quite some time, as I mentioned earlier, I was watching this YouTube video and I was like, man, what would I have looked like? This was kind of before the job of influencing really had a name to it. And so it was definitely in the early years. And I just, didn't know what that would look like. I think one of the realities for me too was that as someone who's traveled a lot, lived abroad for 6 months at a time, that's about my max. When I'm in a different country, 5 to 6 months, I'm actually getting to the point where I'm like, I'm ready to go back home. There's just some things about the US that I miss. The way the streets are, the way that the hot water disposal, like just the basic, I know it sounds really crazy, but just basic things, I miss those things when I'm in other countries. So I really just started to wonder and question if that, not only was it possible, but is that something that I wanted to do? Now, I can look back and say, I actually would love to have a talk show. I love to have an opportunity just to talk to people. I love chatting and hearing people's stories. I just wasn't sure at that time how to live, how to make that my reality. And so subsequently, I came back to the Bay Area and I was like, what is my dream? What do I want to do? What's something that I wanted to do? And I always had a dream of living in New York City. And an opportunity opened up for me to get a job there. And I took that thing. I was off to the races. I lived and moved to New York City. I moved to Brooklyn. And it was a time. It was a time. It's so interesting that sometimes you get into a promise and you don't realize that it's not exactly how you thought it was going to be. New York City, and I have one of my best friends lives there now, and so I have the privilege to be able to go back and visit pretty often, at least once, twice a year. I'll be there twice this year, and so I love visiting, but living there is a different story. It is a different story. And I think one of the challenges was just building of community. I make friends pretty easily. I will talk to pretty much anybody and communicate. And when I lived in New Orleans, I also did not know anybody, but I was in a program. I did Teach for America. And through that, I had this built-in community of 300 other people doing the very same thing I was doing. We were all trying to figure it out together. Like, what is teaching, how to do this thing well, how to be embedded in the community, how to be a participant in my local community. And so those people became my people, became my friends. And of course, I expanded that reach. So my church family, and then, just awesome, dope people. I remember going to dance classes, and like that was my Saturday thing that I did. So that community. So I didn't realize how much it was a privilege to have, at least starting with this cohort, this group of people. When I moved to New York, I did not have that. And I live with people that I'd never met before. Woo! Yes, girl. Met these people in a Facebook group, honey, for folks looking for roommates. They actually knew each other. They had the same name. They knew each other, and they were friends from school, from college, and the third person kind of backed out. And so here I was, like, let's do this thing. It was a blessing. I ended up being very close to where my job was. So it all worked out in the end, but well, kind of, sort of, because that was a whole nother story, okay? I got stories on days, for days. But it was a hard season building community. New York City is a place where people are coming there for a reason, you know, unless they are from there and their family is there. They're coming there, and baby, we are like ships in the night. People are going to get this thing, and it felt transactional in a way, like building those deep community that takes time. And having had the experience in New Orleans, I didn't really realize the privilege that was. And so I'm in New York City and really like, oh my goodness. I'm learning, what and how to build that in a more organic way. I am working at a job. I end up going into the nonprofit space as well as tech adjacent. So I'm in the tech space, I'm in the nonprofit space, and there was a lot of dysfunction at the company that I was at. And so also thinking about like, what next? What do I want to do? What does my life look like? And trying to get a hold of things. New York City was a time of such personal growth. I spent a lot of time by myself, a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time crying. Crying is cathartic. So I spent just a lot of time trying to figure out who I was. What do I like? What do I want? What do I want my life to look like? What gifts has God given me? It was such a time of looking myself in the mirror and really seeing who was there, things I loved about myself, things I didn't like about myself. And so, yes, that was a hard season. And after that, I accidentally came back to the Bay Area. COVID was like this thing that we kind of heard about. Something is going over there in Asia, and New York City, it's a very international place, of course. So quite a few of the engineers that I worked with had family in China. And so they already had masks, honey. They was ready. They was like, girl, take this. We don't know what this thing is, but take this. Okay. And so I did. I remember the schools being shut down and we were like working online. And at the time we didn't know how COVID spread. New York City became the epicenter. And I will find myself on a flight all day, every day. I found a flight round trip for less than $100 from New York City to San Francisco. Sign me up. So I packed a bag with just my dirty clothes because I was like, I don't know how this thing spreads. I'm not bringing my clothes to the laundromat down the road, down the block, because, New York City, we ain't got no laundry up in the apartment. So I remember taking all my things, putting my dirty clothes in the bag, and making my way here to California. This was the day before. I actually had to move my flight up a day because the governor was basically like, stay home, off the roads. Everybody was not just quarantining, but like, stay in the house. Do not come out on this road. And so I found myself here. I was still able to work remotely with my students because everything was online in New York. And my lease ended. I moved here March 20th. My lease ended in July of that year of 2020. And it didn't make sense for me to go back to New York, sit in a box, because literally the world outside of New York City or within the city was ravaging so much death. And at least I could be here home with family and have more ability to be outside. And so that's what I did. I went back to New York in July. Yeah, right before my lease ended, packed all my stuff up, sold a lot of stuff, shipped a lot of stuff, and moved back here. And I did not know what I was going to do. I was living with my mom at the time. Thank you, Mama. I love you. I was also like, okay, but I felt so incredibly disappointed with the Lord, frustrated because I felt like I did not choose this for me. I would not have chosen this for me. And I know that doesn't make sense because you're like, well, Taylor, you just said how hard New York City was. It was. Interestingly enough, right before that, like a couple weeks before that, I remember just finally surrendering to the Lord and saying like, God, okay, I'm going to give this one more year. During that year, I'm going to probably apply to grad school again, and you'll decide where I go, but I'm going to be committed to showing up and giving it my all for one more year. And I end up moving here, right? So it's so funny how God will ask you to do something, and the moment you release or surrender the thing, it just opens up for him to do what he wanted to do all along. He didn't need me to intervene. So I came back here and I didn't know what to do. Thankfully, the job I was working at, we had an office here in the Bay Area, and I actually ended up getting a promotion and transferred to this office. And so that was pretty set. But I also had this desire to own property. Real estate was something I was passionate about, interested in, and I was ready to like make some kind of move. The little ducats I had saved up, like something gotta work here. So my goal was always to get something that was income producing, income generating. And living in New York City, I was looking in areas like Newark. I was looking in Baltimore. I was looking in the DMV area in New Jersey, of course, to kind of see what I could get for that money. What could this look like? The more I learned, I was kind of ready to make a jump there. I, in passing, told a colleague of my mom, like, hey, I'm thinking about, I want to buy a house. She was like, oh, I know the realtor for you. And I was like, okay. I thought, like, no way I'm going to buy a house in California. It's just not going to happen. But we'll see. Why not? This was before the market got cray, okay? But it was just starting to, because, baby, the house, I ended up, surprise, buying a house. This was my third house that I put an offer on. I really wanted a duplex or a triplex because I wanted, again, income producing property. But God led me to this home, which I'm so grateful for. And that is a testimony in itself. And this was the last house that I wanted, that the realtor, that was going to be his last day. Yeah. I didn't realize at the time that he was doing this part-time and he had a full-time job. And because the market was as hot as it was, he would send me like, hey, here's properties in your bracket and what you're looking for. They have multiple, maybe an ADU, another opportunity, and they are also in your price range. Maybe he would send that to me on Tuesday. On Saturday, when we go to look at the properties, half of them would be gone, or all of them. And so that was so frustrating. So this was the last property. I was like, I didn't know that much about this area where I live now. And so I was like, I don't want to go to here. Why would I do that? And yet I found myself here. It's been a journey, and this property does have a studio unit on the land. And so my first rainstorm, they called it an atmospheric rainstorm here, baby, the apartment flooded. I mean, just swimming up in that mud. Thank God it wasn't that bad. It was like a couple inches, but and I had a tenant in there at the time, and I remember calling my mom like, Mom, I don't know what to do, girl, water's everywhere. Oh my gosh, y'all. I was terrified. I felt horrible. I never wanted to be a slumlord or, not respecting somebody's property. This was a nurse. He, comes home and the whole thing is flooded. And so it was just terrifying. And my aunt came to just like help me. I believe my dad came, like, girl, they got, what is it called? Towels, and we was buying like everything to just at least soak up the water. And I had to figure out, okay, well, how do I suck it up, getting a shot vac? And then I got a dehumidifier, like all of these things that I'd never done before. And I remember one of my thoughts was like, if I can't do this, if I can't manage this one property, how can I manage a business, right? And so just that doubt creeping in, the voice of the enemy creeping in to discourage me from what I know God had called me to do. And that was probably 2 years before I ended up going full time in my business. And so what I have learned being here in this place now, having my own business, having sustained, well, really the Lord has sustained it, because baby, it ain't me. It ain't me. The Lord having sustained that for the past 3 years, I am incredibly blessed and grateful. And I've learned, when I look back at her experience, I can celebrate that young lady who was talking about what she did and what she is doing, because I know that I needed all that I have learned, all that has been purged from me, every place that the Lord had to wring out my heart, every challenge, every personal development that I had to learn, every rejection. Like, I needed all of those experiences. What I do not want is to be at the place of promised land or in a fulfilled blessing that I've been praying for, and not be able to handle it, not be able to sustain it, be there prematurely because I did not take the season of preparation seriously, that I did not learn what I needed to learn, grow what I needed to grow. I am indefinitely like a completely different person than I was 2 years ago, 1 year ago, 5 years ago, right? 8 years if we're thinking about back in 2018. And so or 2017, 2018, I know that I don't know when I'll be ready. I wish that I could just know, like the Lord would tell me. But what I know to be true is that every pivot that I had to figure out and learn in my business, I am a better businesswoman, a better leader because of it. And so I feel much more prepared to be able to handle the challenges that come with business ownership, the emotional highs and lows, because I've experienced those things and I'm still being stretched and guided and molded. And so I want to remind you that you are not too late. You are exactly where you're supposed to be. Do not compare someone's right now, their win right now, to who you would have been, right? I'm comparing somebody's win, or was comparing someone's win right now to 2019, to 2018, 2016. Like, that's they're a different version. They've gone through some self-development. It just looked different. And I have been able to live out my dreams. I did get a chance to go to, live in New York City. Like, I'm so grateful that I can say that. I purchased a property here, like just the things that God has allowed me to do. And I don't even know that would have been for me, but I know that some of those dreams and desires I have to live abroad, or it's at least to have another property abroad that I can spend some time in a couple times a year, to have a talk show in some kind of way, like those will come to fruition. I know that I'm destined to have a multi-million-dollar business. I don't know when, I don't know how, but I know that I'm in good company. Vera Wang started her business at 40 years old. Colonel Sanders for KFC started at 62, I believe. And at 62. And so I want to just ask you, what opportunity are you holding on to? What missed opportunity are you holding on to that's making you regret or wonder, like, man, should I have went back and did that?